What's in the box? Who's in the box?
Hello everybody, this is Chris, the host of both Comic Tropes and the Weekly Spinner Rack, and people have long asked me if I would have a place that they could send me their comic. And, I didn't really love the idea of giving out my personal address, and I didn't get that many requests for a while, but it's increased as the channels have grown, so I decided to get myself a P.O. box, and I'll put the address for that right up here. So, if you have made your own comic, or I don't know, there's something that you want to send in that you think I should potentially review, I can't promise that I'll give it a full episode or anything, but there is at least a place where you can now send that. And cool news is I've had that up for like a little over a week, and I've already gotten some packages, so the least I could do is open them here and share that stuff with you. So let's take a look at what we got, starting with a letter. All right, so the first thing I got here is a really lovely 6-page letter, but it is marked that it's for me only, so I will keep that for myself. All I want to say is to Ryan, I'll just keep it at that. I won't give a last name or anything, but thank you so much for the incredibly thoughtful letter. Very interesting. I really appreciate you taking the time to do something like this. And so, like with letters like this, that is something I will be keeping for myself. That's just a nice sort of memento of what I've created, because I'm sure someday it will probably all go away, but letters like this will be a nice way to remember that for some period of time I was able to sort of share something with people and connect and maybe form a community. So here's another letter. Let's take a look at this one. I'm going to read this myself first before I share it with all of you. All right, so this one doesn't really mention whether I should share this or not, so I'm going to err on the side of caution and just say, John, thank you very much. I will share a little bit. He sent me a news article on Master Legend, and if you're not familiar with Master Legend, he's what's called a real-life superhero. I'm very aware of who Master Legend is because I also spent some time as a quote-unquote real-life superhero with Phoenix Jones. Master Legend is unintentionally hilarious, I guess is maybe the fairest way to put it, but I really appreciate you sharing me. I really appreciate you sharing this with me, John. Very, very entertaining. You are right. I did appreciate that. All right, let's see. Let's open this first package. I think I actually know what this one might be because this person reached out ahead of time and asked me what size shirt I wear. So, given that it's floppy and I was asked that, I think I can guess what's inside, but that's it. I don't know exactly what it looks like. Let's get this open and take a look. Look at that. Somebody was kind enough to send me one of their t-shirts, and if you can see that, I think you can, it says Spec Tales, a comic book podcast. And that's a podcast hosted by two great guys. One of them, Jake, reached out to me and asked if I'd be willing to accept a shirt, and of course I will. Of course I will. So if you haven't listened to it before, Spec Tales is a fun podcast. They had me on as a guest, and they talk a little bit about the speculation aspect of comics, which I personally am not super into, but it's still a legit area of fandom, so I totally have nothing against it. And they also have a really great hook to everything where they ask their guests, what is your holy grail, your white whale? What comic are you searching for that you just can't find? And so I thought that was really, really fun. I like that a lot. Guys, I love it. Let's put it on. And voila, like that, through the brilliance of editing, I am now wearing a new t-shirt. I love it, guys. Very nice quality. Thank you again. I probably should have thought ahead and cut these open before I recorded, but that's okay. You know what's nice about this is somebody mailed, I assume, a comic in a gem mailer. Those are really nice boxes, really designed to protect comics and shipping. So let's take a look. let's take a look at this. Mark Fenton sent to this, and I guess he has written a bunch of comics. We've got Ready Comics, and that even has a nice cover that looks like an homage to a classic Spider-Man cover. We've got all the faces of villains in the backgrounds. We've also got a book called The Accursed. And finally, a book called Adrift. So I will try to open these up and read through them. I'm really appreciative of this. So we've got 3 comics here from a guy named Mark Fenton, and I'll go ahead and mention his website because he sent me a card, so I assume that, you know, he'd be happy with the promotion there. markfenton.net. So Mark, very kind of you to send me your books. I look forward to seeing what you've made. By the way, this is funny. There's an ad on the back that says Digital Print Universe, and doesn't that guy, maybe I've got a generic look, but doesn't that look a little like me? Beard, glasses, parted hair, generic white guy. That's fun. Very cool, very cool. It's another comic. This one is called Afflection, but if we look at this closely, it's Afflection. Interesting cover here with like an eagle or maybe a phoenix, because there's some interesting color to it. Smashing through some glass. That's pretty surreal. We've got credits here of Dylan Pevin, Xander Bice, and Nicholas Michael, and they even included a little sort of flyer to talk about this, so I'll read from the flyer here. It says, enclosed for your consideration is the first issue of The Afflection, a meta-comedy horror miniseries. Logline. An aspiring screenwriter with an uncanny resemblance to Ben Affleck discovers there may be a sinister explanation behind his striking likeness. Thank you for your consideration. We eagerly await your response. Okay, I assume that this is sort of like a flyer that this team has sent to publishers. The way that it's written. I don't think that that's like, you know, personalized to me, but still, that's pretty fun. Rated M. They rated themselves. This is a pretty thick book. I'm really looking forward. That sounds surreal, but sounds funny too. I hope it's funny, but it looks like it could be. So thank you again. Thank you very, very much to the team of Dylan Pevin, Xander Bice, and Nicholas Michael. Awesome. We got another one here. Oh, this one might be easier to open, right? Because you can just tear that. All right, let's take a look at what we got in here. Seems to be comic book size. That would be a safe bet that like most of what I receive here would be comic books, right? I don't think anybody's going to be sending me food or hot toys or anything like that. Don't send food in the mail. That would be a bad idea. Let me, this comes with a letter. Let me take a quick look at this letter to see if it's something I can share with everybody. All right, there's nothing in there that says that I can't read it, but the letter is addressed to me personally, so I think I'll share that. But suffice it to say, a nice gentleman named of Michael Cortez has sent me, look at this, an entire graphic novel that he has written and illustrated. That's very impressive. That is a big, big chunk of storytelling there. This is called A Violent New World, and Michael mentions that he's already working on part 2, so he gave me like a little synopsis pitch for that, so that'll be fun to take a look at. And he also mentions that he's working on 2 more books called Out of Touch and Tribute. Well, thank you so much, Michael. This is really, really interesting. I'll read the little synopsis on the back here. It says, it is the holiday season. A young Ricky Guevara is left abandoned and hardened by his environment in a Mexican-American ghetto. Conflicted with his purpose in life, he follows in his father's footsteps, involving himself in an underworld that's all too familiar. That's great. That's great. I'm very excited to read all of these comics, folks. I sincerely am, because trust me, I understand that it is never easy to complete a comic. I mean, I love drawing and writing, but I am so busy with YouTube and my day job that I have hardly any time to, write and draw myself. So, accomplishing anything, trust me, I understand. We have our jobs, we have our families, we have our friends, we have emergencies pop up. You have to fix your shower or you break your foot. So trust me, I understand. It is a huge accomplishment what everybody's doing here. This is the last box I have here, and excited to see what this could be. It's not super heavy, but it's big. So let's cut this open and check it out. All right. So inside here we have a letter. Looking forward to that. And oh my goodness, I never would have expected this. That is clever. Oh my God, somebody has made me into a Funko Pop. How do I don't collect Funko Pops, so I'm gonna actually open this. I mean, it's for me, so you know what? Before I show it to you, let me quickly read this letter and see if it's anything I can share. Okay, now I see who this is from. This is from a gentleman named Keith Stoll. Keith has been a long time viewer of my show Comic Tropes, as well as Pros and Cons. So this is amazing, Keith. Let's open this up just so that I can share this with everybody. This deserves to be shared. And you know what? I'm gonna put this on my set actually, because this is just too cool to leave boxed up. I think. All right. What do you think? I think that's a pretty good likeness. I've got some sort of a book in my hand. I've got a wedding ring. Yep, that's accurate. Wearing one of my old-fashioned bowling shirts that I used to wear all the time on Comic Tropes, and I've got some sort of a custom drink in my hand, which does sound accurate. We've got the beard, we've got the glasses, got the blonde hair, maybe a little more full on this than in real life. That is beautiful. That is so cool. Where's that gonna go? That should go up on this. Can we see it if I put it up this high? Not really. All right, so we'll put it here actually. Yeah, then it'll be next to the Puppet, Chris, and Infotron. So that's actually pretty good on this shelf right here. And someday I'll probably have to change this setup a little so that I can have like some more shelving or something. But that's amazing. Folks, wow. Just to recap, 2 super thoughtful letters, a custom Funko Pop of me. I never would have expected anything like that in a million years. An entire graphic novel by Michael Cortez. A book called Afflection by Dylan Zander and Nicholas. And 3 books by the Ready Comics crew. We've got Ready Comics, we've got Accursed, and we have Adrift. And wow, I did not expect to get so much so fast. Thank you. All right, so I thought I was done, but now we're just a couple days later, and I've got some more packages, so this video will continue. First up, I've got a letter here. I think it's a letter. It might be a comic, so let's see what this is. It's a comic. So John Burkett has made a sci-fi comic. This came out this year, very recently. This is called Feral Star. So basically, we've got sort of a black and white ash can. This is a sci-fi spacefaring story. It looks great. The artwork, when I look at this, what kind of vibes do I get? Maybe a little bit of like Kelly Jones or Bernie Wrightson, but because there's sort of like a dark organic nature to some of this, some really good spotted blacks throughout. It looks like a lot of fun. John, thank you so much. Can't wait to read this, and thanks again for introducing yourself when we met. That was really nice of you. Let's see what else we got, but that's great. All right, this comes from Freestyle Comics, it says, and it looks like we've got both a comic book and, is this a t-shirt? Let's see if this is my size, and if so, I'll throw that on. Let's take a look here. Is that my size? It's close. Alright, sorry, I was looking at it first. Well, we've got the Teenage Gene-Spliced Cyber Bunnies. Man, that brings me back to the late 80s when everybody was making jokes based on Ninja Turtles and stuff, and that seems like sort of what we got here. We've got 2 issues of the Teenage Gene-Spliced Cyber Bunnies. What's inside? Oh, it's like a little sticker as well. That's nice. That's cool. So who's this from? Is there a letter in here? There's a letter. Bear with me. I'm going to read this. All right. There was a very kind letter within the comics from Eric Hunter. That's who has made these comics. And Eric was in a live chat of a channel that I really enjoy, Hooded Cobra Commander 788. That's a channel on YouTube about vintage G.I. Joe reviews. I really like it. And I was in there and he was like, oh, cool, comic tropes. And so he decided to send me his comics that he's made 100% himself. And yeah, it's a very do-it-yourself aesthetic here. But he's doing everything, you know, the writing, the art, the lettering, the printing. Print quality on these is pretty impressive. These are on something like some really thick, glossy paper. The outside cover is like a really nice sort of cardstock. So yeah, that's very interesting, and looks like he's invested in getting, like, you know, ISBNs and UPC codes. That costs something. So, you know, more power to you. Creating a comic takes a lot of work. It takes, you know, whenever you sit down to do something creative, I know as well as anyone, your brain starts thinking of all these other things that you could be doing. Like, oh, you know what, maybe I should wash the dishes right now. You start thinking of, like, anything else. Or you're like, oh, I've got an even better idea. You gotta just see it through. So trust me, it's very impressive that you've seen this to completion. Good luck on your path. It says something in the letter about, you know, being early on and wanting to move forward and advance, and you know, the best way to learn is by actually making these comics. So again, that was from Eric Hunter. It's called The Teenage Gene-Spliced Cyber Bunnies. Why don't I throw that t-shirt on? There we go. Thanks again, Eric. Let's see what else came in. Wow, this is some really different packaging. This is like a nice cardboard box that sort of looks like somewhere between a cassette and a VHS tape. It says, tough stuff goes to rehab. Tough stuff. So let's open it up and see what's in here. Okay, first there's a letter that I'm going to read to myself. Alright, so I've got some comics here about tough stuff, and this comes from Kevin Delgado. Wrote me a very kind letter. Kevin, this is a really impressive story. It says that he's got both Tough Stuff and Tough Stuff Goes to Rehab, which were both successfully funded on Kickstarter. That's an accomplishment. On top of that, he's got some cool news here. Tough Stuff has been picked up for publication by Source Point Press. So this October, you guys would be able to get this stuff in your actual comic book store. And we've got sort of an 80s vibe on the outside. Inside, fully colored. That's impressive. Wow, a lot of work went into this. I would say that this style is like, there's some sort of like vintage 80s, you know, stuff that like reminds me of like Frank Miller, but like there's also a real underground feel aesthetic to this. I'm talking, you know, stuff that like Crumb or Harvey Picard would make, you know. So looks like we've got a badass cat that's out to stop crime. Very cool. And then there's 2 other books in here published through Aftershock. We've got We Live. Are these like alternate covers? I think that's what we've got here, because they're both saying, oh no, it's black and white. I see what it is. And so this is more of a traditional superhero comic thing. Oh, what did you do in this one, Kevin? I'm trying to look for your name in the credits. Bear with me. Okay, took me a minute to figure out what Kevin's credit is. He did these covers. These are variant covers for a book. So congratulations there, Kevin. Looks like you're making some inroads in terms of networking with people. That's always an accomplishment. That's a big part of what making comics is networking. And he also sent me a nice pin of Tough stuff here. I'll definitely put that on my convention backpack, and a really nice sticker. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for the comics, but especially thank you for the nice letter. Really means a lot. I really appreciate it. This one comes from somebody in Michigan. Let's see what's in here. This is exciting. I never expected to get so many comics and so many different types of comics. Thank you. Okay, what do we got here? Oh, there's a letter, so let me read the letter first, and then there are 2 comics, so bear with me. Let me catch up, and I'll be right with you. Folks, these comics come from J.K. Slampier, and this one, Greatly They Dared, is currently on Kickstarter. And the idea here, he says, is that these are superhero stories but set against historical backdrops that will like roll in actual bits of history. This is set in the 1920s during the women's suffragette movement. Interesting. This one is called Fostered, and that's set during World War II, and he says it's somebody's like personal horror story, like the worst thing they could imagine happening to them is happening to them. Set in the same universe but disconnected, like separate stories. He says as long as Greatly They Dared is successful at Kickstarter, this would be book number 2 that he shares with the world. But wait, I say he, but I guess I don't have any indication. It's a initial, J.K. Slampier. Sorry if I'm making an assumption there, actually. I don't know now that I realize that I'm looking at this. But J.K., thank you so much for sending me some of your comics, and definitely good luck with the Kickstarter. I love the idea behind this, so I'm excited to check these out. Thank you very, very much. Wow, it's a big one. Freezing. Awesome. Aaron Lee says that he's been watching my show for a long time, both Comic Tropes and Pros and Cons, and I guess I featured Aaron's fan art in a previous episode of Comic Tropes. Thank you for sharing it. On the back there, we've got a really cool sketch of the Thing. I love it. And then we've got a bunch of comics here. Let's see, we've got a postcard that says pensandpedals.com. Comics, art, and design by Aaron Z. Lee. And there's several of these postcards. That one's sort of like a Halloween theme. This is also Halloween, like kids in costumes. Very cool. What else? Quote the Raven, nevermore. Lots of these. This one, like some flamingos. Love it. And some music. What am I looking at here? I'm looking at, oh, that's adorable. A manatee with a teddy bear. I like manatees. One of my favorites. I love sloths. I've been to a sloth sanctuary before and fed them. That was wonderful. I love sloths. So there's a sloth in some pajamas. Thank you. Let's see. For comics, it looks like we've got issues 1, 5, 6, 7, and 8 of Wesley the Robot. 8 issues have been produced. This is issue 1, and then 5 through 8, and then there's something in here as well. Let me see if that's connected. Oh, we've got some mini comics. Creep of the Crop. We've got a black and white horror comic. That looks awesome. That's so up my alley. A little anthology. Very, very cool. Thank you so much for that. And this is called, let's see, Son of a Pizza Man. Priz's Pizza. Yo, this is fresh. That's a quote from Ed Piskor. Wow. Look at that. That is a thick book. This is black and white. It looks like we've got some screen tones being used to shade the characters. That's awesome. Wow. There's a lot of action going on in here. I'm seeing motorcycles. I'm seeing guns. I'm seeing an actual pizza throwing a pizza cutter. So this is pretty wild stuff. Wow. All right. You are out there, my man. Thank you so much, Aaron. Wow. That is a lot of comics. That's everything that came in the last couple of days. So this is a lot to keep up on. I don't always have time to do a dedicated review for all this stuff that's coming in, but I now have sort of the comics that I'm buying at the store, and I've got the comics, all this cool indie self-made do-it-yourself stuff that you guys are producing, and I'll go through as much of it as I can, and I'm happy to share it here in terms of doing an unboxing video. Wow, that's a lot of different comics, a lot of different types of genres, a lot of different styles, but you know what it's all got in common? Passion. So I totally see that. Kickstarter and crowdfunding, what an amazing new thing that we have at our fingertips to get our ideas out there. If we're passionate about a story, there's a way to share it. I'm happy to at least boost the signal by opening stuff here. Maybe some people out there will want to look your stuff up. That would be lovely. Trust me, I understand that doing something like this takes a lot of work. And even just sending me these really incredibly thoughtful letters, handwritten, this takes a lot of time, and I want you to know I sincerely appreciate it. I don't just sort of open it up and go like, yeah, whatever. No, this is stuff that I will be keeping in a file somewhere for myself. Does my heart good. It does my heart good. I really do put a lot of time and effort into making my shows, so to get any sort of response like this, it really counts for a lot. It really does. Thank you so much. I wish all of you success. What am I thinking? I almost forgot to thank the Spectales guys again, even though I'm wearing their shirt. Thank you, everybody, for everything. All I can say is if you send something in, I'll continue to make little episodes like this, highlighting what's been shared, and we'll just have some fun taking a look at it. Thanks, everybody. Keep reading comics.